You said you work at a place called Lebowski's, and I think you're wearing the gear right now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about Lebowski's. What's that?
It's a bar and grill in Robbins. I've been there 4 years. I'm a cook. I make food for the people of the surrounding area, and that's about it.
You've been a cook the whole time you've been there?
Yes, sir.
What kind of hours do you work?
I work mainly night. Monday, Tuesday, I work from 3:30 to 8 o'clock-ish on Monday. And Tuesday, I work from 5 to close. Wednesday, Thursday off. Friday, I work during the day. Friday is 11 to 4. And then Saturday's 5 to 11. And then I work all day Sunday from 10 to about 8 o'clock.
How many hours does that add up to?
I mean, bi-weekly, it's about like 32, 35. And on a 2-week check, it's about 62, 65.
Is that pretty much the standard hours that you work then weekly?
Yes, sir. My schedule doesn't change and it hasn't changed.
Have you always been a cook out there?
Yes, sir.
What's the best thing to get at Lebowski's?
The dude fries.
Good to know. Were you working at Lebowski's back on February 17th and 18th of 2024?
Yes, sir.
So February 17th was a Saturday, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, what shift were you working that Saturday?
5 to 11.
Is 11 o'clock basically close time?
It is close time, yep.
Shifting gears a little bit, do you know a gentleman by the name of McKinley Louisma?
I don't know him by McKinley, but I know him by Ken.
Okay. Do you see Ken in the courtroom today?
I do, sitting right there.
Could you describe what he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue shirt, wearing black pants.
Is the gentleman over here by his attorneys?
Yes, sir.
May the record reflect the witness identified the defendant, Your Honor.
It will.
Trevor, how would you describe your relationship, if any, with Ken back around February 17th of 2024?
I met him through my mom, which she lived right around the corner at the time. He was just a ride to work. He'd come pick me up. He'd drop me off. Basic to minimal communication, nothing out of sort.
You said you met him through your mom. Who's
Correct.
Your mom?
My mom is Patricia Bascom.
Trevor, sometimes when I ask questions, I pause a little bit before I'm done. So if you don't mind, kind of wait until I finish. I'll try to do better at that.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll talk over each other. Where's your mom live?
She lives out by Prairie now, but she moved from that address.
Did she live out by you in that trailer court back in February?
Correct.
And who did she live with?
Alan, which is her boyfriend, and that's about it.
At some point in time, was the defendant living over there with her?
Yeah,
Staying
Ken
there?
and his girlfriend at the time.
Remember his girlfriend's name?
I do not.
So round about February 17th and 18th of this year, was Ken and his girlfriend also living with your mom, Patty?
Correct, yeah.
Remember the name of the street they lived on?
It's right around the corner. I don't remember.
Is there a Hummingbird Lane out there?
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Yep, Hummingbird Lane.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Logan Kimpton?
That's my nephew.
So if he's your nephew, then would he be Patty's grandson?
Correct.
Did he also live there or stay there at the time?
He was bouncing back and forth. I didn't really keep too much tabs on him.
Did you have any contact with the defendant on the evening of February 17th, 2024?
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you came into contact with him?
I needed a ride home from work, and he came and picked me up. So after I got off, I got in the car with him. He drove me from Lebowski's. We went down the main street there in Robbins. Then we went over the bridge and took a left on Robbins Road. and then as soon as went down a little ways, and then took a right onto Tower Terrace, and then went straight from there, and then the roundabout, and then straight, and then took a right onto Morning Dove, and then dropped me off.
How long a ride is that?
It's about 8 minutes car ride.
How did you arrange for him to pick you up that night?
I messaged him. Yeah.
Was he agreeable to give you a ride?
Yes, sir.
Is that something he would do for you on occasion?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember approximately what time he picked you up or arrived at your workplace?
About 10:30.
You said 11 o'clock was closed, right?
11 o'clock is closed, yep. But he arrived a little early, 10:30, 10:45-ish. And I got done around 10:58 that night.
You said they. Was there somebody with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Dakota Van Patten.
When the defendant and Dakota Van Patten arrived at Lebowski's to pick you up early, did you make contact with him and tell him that, you needed more time or anything like that?
No, I just finished up my work and got my work done, and then got a ride home.
Did you know Dakota Van Patten before that day?
I did, but it was minimal communication before then.
Where
I
had
met
you
him
seen
through.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Where had you seen him before?
My mom's house on Hummingbird Lane.
Did you recognize him at first?
I did, yeah.
Did you figure out that the two of you, and that's you and Mr. Van Patten, that you had met before?
It took me a while, but yes, I did. I did, yeah. I met him through his brother.
Who's his brother?
I forgot his brother's name.
Do you recall sometime around this time period you received a request on Facebook, what we call a friend request from Dakota?
Correct.
And is that something that you still had on your phone to provide law enforcement?
I believe so, yeah. I didn't accept it at all.
Okay. Your Honor, may I show the... One second. Before I get to that, Trevor, when you got into the car to get a ride home from Lebowski's, do you remember where you sat in the car?
I sat in the behind the passenger.
And when you sat behind the passenger seat, then did you have to maneuver your way into the car to get in there?
No.
Okay. Open the door, go in the car?
Just open the door and get in and close the door.
Okay. And it was the passenger side back or the...
Passengers. It was a passenger side back, behind the passenger, because there was somebody sitting in the passenger, the driver, and then I got behind the passenger in the back seat.
Okay. And who was driving?
Ken was.
Where was Dakota sitting?
Passenger. Front seat.
Your Honor, may I show the witness State's Exhibit number 8A and 8B for identification? Trevor, do you see State's Exhibit number 8A?
Correct.
Do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
Okay. And then I'll show you State's Exhibit 8B. Do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
And what do these exhibits contain?
A friend request from Coda.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the friend request as it appeared on your phone from who you learned to be Dakota Van Patten?
Correct.
Move to enter State's Exhibits 8A and 8B, Your Honor.
Any objection to 8A or 8B? Exhibits 8A and 8B are admitted.
Trevor, in front of you we have State's Exhibit number 8B first. Can we publish that, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. And what does 8B then depict?
If I need to respond to their question or not.
Is this, what's depicted in State's Exhibit 8B? Is that your phone?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And is this what is referred to as like a profile page for Facebook?
Correct.
Okay. Is this the profile page of who's described as Coda Smith, but who you learned to be and knew as Dakota Van Patten?
Correct.
And this is the way it appeared on your phone when he sent the request and you looked to see who it was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'll show you State's Exhibit 8A. Okay. And what is depicted in State's Exhibit 8A?
Profile picture.
So is this maybe the close-up or what happens when you tap on the profile picture of Coda Smith?
Yes, sir.
And is this the same person who was in the car when Ken, the defendant, picked you up on February 17th, 2024, known as Dakota Van Patten?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Judge. So during that 8-minute car ride, do you remember anything about the conversation that took place?
I remember when we got to like Tower Terrace Road, and then we came up and saying that that don't tell my mom, but they're trouble together, like hanging out, Ken and Dakota. That don't tell like my mom like that they're together.
Wait. You have to have your mic. You may. So I think where we left off, though, counsel, you had stated an objection. My understanding is that counsel was going to try to clear up the matter, and then you'll restate the objection if appropriate. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So we were talking about a conversation that took place in the car, Trevor.
Yeah.
And you were starting to tell us about that. But before you do, I wanted to ask you, who was talking or telling you about the two of them, that's Ken and the defendant and Mr. Van Patten being together? Who was talking at that time?
Ken.
Okay. So when the defendant was talking about being together with Mr. Van Patten, did he tell you not to tell your mom that?
Correct.
Okay. And did he tell you why?
Objection. Relevance.
Please approach. Objections overruled.
Trevor, did the defendant tell you why he didn't want you to tell his mom that he was with Mr. Van Patten?
That I didn't want to tell my mom?
Yeah.
Because they would get in trouble together.
Anything else happen during that car ride?
No, it was a pretty smooth car ride, sir.
Did you have contact with the defendant, Mr. Louisma, again after he dropped you off at your house?
Not again after until the morning after. It was a Sunday morning. About 8:30, came knocked on my door, knocked on my window.
Okay.
Finally go ahead.
And then what were you doing when he came to your house and he knocked on the window?
I was sleeping.
Did that wake you up?
Yes, sir.
And when you heard the knocking, then did you do something to see who was there?
I did.
Okay. What'd you do?
I then waved him over, come to the door. And then I opened my door. He stood right in the landing area of my front, like in my house. And then then he was like, if somebody approaches you, ask you questions, just tell them I was here all night playing video games. And it was kind of, raised questions in my mind.
So he told you that if someone asks to say that he was with you all night playing video games?
Correct.
Okay. And when he said that to you, did you tell him anything?
No, I just said that he had to go, and then he proceeded to leave.
You see where he went?
He went back to my mom's.
You said that happened about 8:30 in the morning, then the next morning on Sunday?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Weis.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about this 8-minute drive from work to home, okay?
Okay.
You'd only known Ken, my client, for about 2 weeks on that night, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
He'd given you rides to or from work before?
Correct, yep.
And so this night was not unlike any of those other nights, agreed?
Agreed.
Took you about 8 minutes to get home?
About.
You were anxious to get home that night, weren't you?
I was ready to get home, yeah.
And so you were kind of thinking about how you were looking forward to getting home, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry, yes.
That's okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And when you were in the car, there was conversation among all three of you, correct?
Correct.
Now, today, your testimony was that during that 8-minute car ride, Ken said, don't tell your mom, correct?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
And that he went on to say, don't tell your mom because he and Dakota, tend to get into trouble together. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you and I have talked about this 8-minute car ride before today, haven't we?
I believe so.
At your deposition?
I believe so, yeah.
That was on July 25th of this year. Do you recall that?
I do. Yeah, I do, yeah.
It was here at the courthouse, is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
And you were under oath?
Yes.
And we had a chance to talk about this just like we are today. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Agreed.
And this conversation in the car came up during our deposition, didn't it?
I believe so.
Have you had a chance to review your deposition transcript before today?
I have not, no.
So today, it was your testimony that Ken said, don't tell my mom because we get into trouble, correct?
Correct.
But that's not what you told me in your deposition, is it?
I don't remember.
Would it help you if you had a chance to look at that transcript?
Yes.
And counsel, and for the record, this is page 21, starting at line 20. May I approach, Judge?
You may.
Mr. Weiss, I'm going to set this in front of you
Okay.
and give you a chance to read it. Please just read it to yourself, not
Okay.
out loud. Read as much as you need to remember this.
All right.
And I'm going to direct your attention to line 20, okay?
I did.
Well, your testimony today was that Ken said that they got in trouble together. That is not what your testimony was in your deposition, was it?
Correct?
In your deposition, you said that was simply your impression
Yeah.
from what had been said, correct?
Yeah.
And actually, in your deposition, you said, I don't even remember who said that to begin with, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Weis. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trevor, you just showed a copy of your deposition.
Correct.
Okay. And at the time you gave the deposition, you remember when that was?
July 25th.
As you sit here today and you were answering questions under oath, did you remember who it was that said that in the car?
I don't remember exactly, but I haven't really been feeling too well.
Well, today, when we asked you, you said it was McKinley that said that.
Yeah.
The defendant. As you sit here today, do you remember him saying those words?
I don't know.
At the time that this exchange took place, who was living with your mom?
Who was living with my mom?
Yeah.
Well, my mom's boyfriend and just her that I know of, and then Ken and his girlfriend were staying there.
And did Dakota Van Patten, to your knowledge, ever live with your mom?
No, sir.
Other than being at your mom's house when you met him once, do you know if Dakota Van Patten knew your mom at all?
Well, I would assume so. If he knew my mom, that they were over there, yeah.
In prior conversations with Dakota Van Patten, did he refer to your mom as in this way at all? Talk about don't tell her something, things like that?
No, sir.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Recross. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.